Hey, what is up? What is up, YouTube boxing family? It is Zach right here. And yeah, let's get right into it, man. We're gonna be talking about Mr. Naoya Inoue beating Stefan Fulton. And yeah, in spectacular fashion. At first I wasn't really thinking this was a certified win, just simply because I thought Inoue did not fight on a fair level playing field. I thought, in my, war, war type mindset, or thinking in a, defensive mindset of going into any hostile territory, you can say that anywhere you go in a competitive sport like boxing, especially when you are a very, very deadly talent, like, I'll just say, for example, like if I was like a Gervonta Tank Davis, where I'm just killing dudes, with pure punching power, and I'm just breaking people's, lives away, and I have like a big fight, like a Naoya Inoue type fighter, and I go over to hostile territory where I go fight a foreign fighter for the sake of being who I am, to say that I will go over to another man's country and I will beat the living brakes off of him. But if he or she tries to cheat you, then that makes perfect sense, because the one thing that any fighter will do if they're hyped up is to cheat within fear. And initially that's what I thought of Naoya Inoue, because I thought that was something that he's always been keen to do, because it doesn't make sense of why Inoue would be that type of individual to try to be like that, because he has been exposed in his previous fights where he has been double stacking his hand wraps. But quote unquote, where people try to say, the legality is okay to be able to do that in Japan, people will say, oh, well, that's legally immoral. And it's like, no, it's not. Like, you are putting another man's life at risk, and morality does not start with the legality of forcing immoral actions by way of law to monopolize the human action of man's decisions of what people want to do in an axiomatic principle. And the ethics behind it does not scale with consent. Because if you try to cheat me in a sport like boxing, I did not consent for you to do that to me, but you could potentially kill me. And furthermore, if you guys want to even get, a little bit more technical of like what is considered cheating, there's plenty of examples where fighters have died or have nearly died to another fighter that has cheated them. I'll even use Jack Dempsey versus, I forgot what the one dude that he fought, but he fought this one guy where he basically loaded up his gloves, and he had basically, like a bare knuckle fist within his glove. But I think he also used, I think like a certain type of brass knuckle type object within his glove, and he was able to do what he wanted to do to his opponent. But you could see that his opponent, he was all bloodied up. He was beat up badly, and he got absolutely destroyed. And I don't know if he lived, but he barely could operate, and he looked like he was about to die. I forgot what the fight that was, but that's a great example of cheating in full effect, to almost take to potentially take a fighter's life away. But if you want to have like a good actual example of a fighter that has died, almost in the ring, but they've died outside of the ring due to cheating, take a look at Luis Resto versus Billy Collins. That is one of the most iconic fights in boxing, where Billy Collins, he was, a very good fighter, and Luis Resto, he wasn't like the best fighter out of all fighters out of Puerto Rico, in which I wouldn't even consider him Puerto Rican. He's just a traitor. That's really what he is. He's not a good fighter, and you can't be representing, any type of premier talent by just cheating like that. But that's just, say, for like another story where I could talk about certain fighters that I don't like that are cheaters. But yeah, he loaded up his gloves and I believe plaster in Paris. Luis Resto did that, and Billy Collins, he got basically bludgeoned up with his whole entire face being completely swollen, and it looked like he looked like a complete alien, where he just looked like he was about to die. And that wasn't fair. He actually couldn't see, and Luis Resto just beat up everything inside of his whole entire head, and that was very sad, sad to watch. But yeah, Billy Collins, he committed suicide right after that. I believe, I think like less than like a couple weeks after the fight. But yeah, Luis Resto, he got sent to prison, and I don't know how many years he got in for it, but I'm pretty sure he's probably dead, or he's probably still in prison right now. Who knows? But he's a piece of crap, and everybody shuns on him because he actually got exposed by Billy Collins' father in the ring with his with his gloves potentially being tampered, in which they were, to cheat Billy Collins. But there's been plenty of examples of fighters getting away with that, and people always want to talk about the past where fighters have been screwed over by cheating. But it's like, this happens almost every single day, that you don't even know what's going on in any part of the world, but there could always be that one person that's coming out of their way to cheat another fighter. So my whole deal is with everything, with the situation between Fulton and Inoue. This fight, in my honest opinion, was clean as far as what we saw of potential evidence to say that Inoue, he did follow Stefan Fulton's team's request to make sure that this fight was clean, where Inoue, he made sure that the hand wraps were they were properly assembled, where he was not cheating at all. I'm not so sure about like the PEDs or anything like that, or maybe the gloves. So I think I'll just say that was a fair account of Inoue's part, to just be like, okay, let me just beat this guy fair and square and just move on with my career. So I will say, Inoue, he did a very, very good job. I was kind of surprised that he was beating Fulton to the punch, and he just came out with like a really good, very veteran style boxer puncher, type of setup. He did a very, very good job. He broke Fulton down to the body with his jab, and he countered him every single time with like a really, really good right hook. Inoue really reminds me of like a really young version of like a Edwin Valero mixed with a I forgot that one Japanese dude that was so good back in the day, but he's not really credited a lot because not a lot of people talk about him. But think of like a Edwin Valero mixed with like a really young, I would even put him next to Ceferino Garcia, because if you really think about it, he has a really tough Filipino Hispanic style, because his style is so technically gifted on the inside, but on the outside, Inoue, he cannot win a battle of the technical jabs, moving your head, and using good angles to actually be good. But I think Inoue, when you try to mess around with him, similar to your Dennis Ugas, he'll actually come out of his way and he will hurt you. So I think Inoue is a very, very good talent. I think Inoue has done everything correctly under the books to be certified. And I have to say, Fulton, I think Fulton, he will come back a lot stronger. He's a very dangerous fighter himself, and I think his talents will bring him to world title status sooner than later. I would like to see this rematch soon down the line. I think at 126, this fight will be a lot more different than for what people try to make it out to be, to say, oh, Inoue is just naturally better than Fulton. But I don't think so. I think Fulton just didn't have a good plan coming into the game with Inoue. And I think if Fulton looks back at what he did wrong and he shows to you why he's that good, and he starts grabbing more titles at, like, let's just say 126 or above, I think Fulton, he can easily dominate a lot of fighters. I think honestly, knowing that Fulton, he's been out of the ring since 2022, which I'm not really happy why he did that, because for Fulton at least he could have at least stayed active. And I think the problem with fighters that get to the tough fight level, where they just start taking like a year off and not actually doing what they're supposed to do, that's just not good. Because for those of you that don't know, he fought Brandon Figueroa and he fought Daniel Roman, but ever since then he just took all that time off. And I think honestly that just really played like a massive factor, because you cannot tell me that taking a year off is completely fine when you don't have anything going on in boxing. And I think honestly that the problem with that mindset is that if you're going to take a year off and take a big fight like a Naoya Inoue, which Inoue, he was active, he was at least active within December, but that was good that he came back within 7 months, because if you think about it, Inoue, he fought from December leading into that following June, and then you saw him back in the ring that following October. So, I mean, that was like within like a 6 or 7 months, wingspan period. So, I mean, it's good that Inoue is doing that, but I think what Inoue should have done a little bit more, I think, I think Inoue, he's moving correctly. He's doing what a world championship level fighter would do. Let me take a good amount of time off, but I'm going to be fighting tough guys. And I think that's really good out of his behalf, because right now he's in a very, very good position. Now that he beat Fulton, he could get right back into the ring and he could fight Marlon Tapales for undisputed, which I think he'll knock him out. And I don't think Marlon Tapales is going to do anything, better than Fulton to beat him. But that's a good potential fight, which I like to see Inoue break history to become a potential 2-division undisputed world champion. And that will be him being potentially the very first ever Japanese fighter to win undisputed in 2 different divisions. But on top of that, to become the very first fighter in boxing to do that. And then if Terrence Crawford, if he gets a victory against Errol Spence come Saturday, which I don't see that happening, him and Crawford will be undisputed in two different divisions back to back. Hold on. All right, I'm back, y'all. All right, but yeah, Inoue, he did what he said that he wanted to do, and he did a very good job. I think as far as what's next for both fighters is that Fulton, he should move up to 126. He's been at 122 for quite a long time, and I don't think 122 has been scaling good for him as far as cutting weight. I will say that is a core benefactor of staying at a weight class too long. And when you run into a guy that knows how to punch in a division, that does play a factor on your body, where you're losing a lot of those fluids and you're not really able to take a good shot and perform at the highest level. Furthermore, Fulton, he was out of the ring for 13 months, and I do not like the fact that fighters do that, because if you do get out of the ring longer than 6 months, heading into a year, then you're not going to be as sharp, you're not going to be as fluid, and you're not going to be able to recover as fast when you do get hurt, because this is boxing, anything can happen, and this is your life being put on the line for the sake of people's entertainment, so you can't really rely off of the fans giving you a chance to recover in a fight and just say, oh no, he can come back or she can come back. No, this is boxing. People die in the sport, and people can easily get hurt real bad just with one shot. And I think Fulton, he did say in the past where, shout out to Drew Titan, but I saw the show that he had a long time ago with Fulton when he was trying to get his career together heading into 2021 after COVID was dying down, and he was saying that He was saying on the show where he was talking with Drew Titan and Tay Jones, and he said, I'm not focused on boxing, as much anymore. And I think that played a huge benefactor in his discipline, because if you think about it, if you're not thinking about boxing and you had other things lined up to do other things outside of your career, when you are a sitting unified champion in your division, that does mean something, because that meant that, did Fulton really want this fight? Did he really wanted to go out there and prove himself to be the best that he can be? And the short answer to that is no. It looked like Fulton just came out of a really bad layoff, and he looked like he just rolled out of bed, and he didn't really come in, come to win. And I think compared to other versions of Fulton, I think Fulton does way better than Inoue if he's purely guns blazing, razor sharp focus. And I think that this version of Fulton is one of his worst versions ever. And I think Fulton, if he does make the adjustments to become a better fighter, then I think he'll be right back up on track. It's not like he's really far away from a title. People would like to say he is, because he lost to Inoue, and you're never going to get back up to a world title. And it's like, that's not true. Like, guys like Joet Gonzalez be out here getting title shots quicker than anybody else in boxing, and he's he's about to get another title shot to fight Luis Alberto Lopez, in which he never went through any correct channels to even get to that spot to fight Luis Alberto Lopez for his IBF title. So I mean, if anything, it's just a case in point to show, like, boxers that are politically protected in the sport, they'll automatically get title shots right away. But when you're on the coincidental list compared to the hopeless in boxing, you have that harder road to get back to the top. But it's not really hard when you are getting high level victories. And I think for PBC's management over Fulton's career, PBC has done a great job with giving Fulton the best fights in his career. He's fought a consecutive total of 9 undefeated fighters, not like back to back, but if I'm not mistaken, Fulton has fought some pretty good guys. He fought, who did he fight before Inoue? He fought guys like Angelo Leo, Brandon Figueroa, Arnold Kagai. He was undefeated. That's 3. Isaac Avalar, that's 4. And Adam Lopez, that's 5. Luis Rosario, yep, he was good. That's 6. Number 7, Alberto de la Rosa, or Del Rosa, that's 7. And he fought Joshua Greer, yep, that's 8. And then he fought Sam Rodriguez, that's 9. So he leading up to Inoue, he's fought at least 9 undefeated fighters. And that just shows how good of a fighter he really is, because he really put in that work to be that good. And I have to say, like, that's some really good heavy level iconic iconic resume building movement out of his career, because all these fighters that he's fought has made him into a absolute monster that he is now. I say Fulton, leading into the future, who would I like to see him fight next? I want to see him fight probably Brandon Figueroa at 126. I think 122 is just over with. There's no need to just kill yourself to 122, because if Cool Boy is really focused and dedicated, I think Cool Boy, he can easily move up to 126. He could fight a guy like Ray Vargas, or he could fight maybe Mauricio Lara. That's a really, really good fight. He could easily beat the crap out of Lara. I don't think Lara is as good as he was anymore. But I also want to see him in the ring with maybe guys like Carlos Castro, Raymond Ford. He has plenty of great options. but by no means he's really out of the woods. He's been doing a pretty good job, and he's been facilitating himself very well. So it's only a matter of time to see where Fulton's gonna go, and I think he has plenty of great fights in front of him, and I think PBC is going to give him the best fights within his division. I also want to mind a fight with him and Mark Magsayo, because Mark Magsayo, compared to Inoue, I would say Magsayo probably doesn't punch as hard as Inoue. He could still hit, don't get it twisted, but Magsayo has a good rough, rugged style where I think Fulton he can easily go after a guy like him. But I would probably say just to make his skills seasoned properly as a good comeback fight, I would think a good fight would be guys like Mauricio Lara, in which Lara he can hit, but that's a good style because that's a guy that gives you pressure. But if you want to go maybe a little bit more deeper into Let the Waters, I mean, there's like a lot of great talent here. You got you got guys like Luis Reynaldo Nunez. You got Jonathan Lopez. He's not really there yet to getting a title, but he's 12-0. He's 20 years old. He's just absolutely killing it. That's that Puerto Rican dude from Orlando, Florida. I think he's like a black guy. Yeah. He's like the black kid. But yeah, Carlos Castro. That's a very, very good fight because not only Carlos Castro, he is a really good bona fide, pure boxer, semi decent puncher. That's a good fight to get Fulton's skills sharpened back up, and then you could fight like a guy like him to get your boxing ability re-established. But if you want to like go after like the deep waters, I think like guys like Mauricio Lara, Ray Vargas, in which Vargas he's a champion, but I wouldn't mind that fight. I mean, I wouldn't mind Victor Morales, even though he's 25 years old, but he's on Golden Boy, but I don't see why that fight can't happen. It can definitely happen, but I don't think those fights make sense. I think financially and world title wise speaking, going after a guy like Carlos Castro, Mark Magsayo, I wouldn't mind a fight between Fulton and Raymond Ford. I think that's an amazing fight. He could fight Lee Wood. I wouldn't mind that. I think Brandon Figueroa just makes a lot of sense because Figgy, if he does end up fighting Ray Vargas next, then I think what PBC will end up doing is that they'll line up Figueroa with Stefan Fulton. But if you think about it, if Figueroa is gonna fight Ray Vargas for the WBC featherweight title, then I think Mark Magsayo and Stefan Fulton should fight each other next. And that would make more sense because Carlos Castro, he'll probably even be like a tertiary lineup to potentially fight Fulton. Because it makes sense because, like, Carlos Castro, he has such a great, he has such a great resume builder as far as who he's fighting. Obviously, he hasn't won, good high-level premier fights, but he's still keeping himself in the mix because he's still willing to fight good fighters. So I think Castro, he's a very, very good fighter if that is going to be the next fight for Fulton. But I wouldn't mind Mark Magsayo or Brandon Figueroa because Figgy, Figgy makes sense because Figgy knows that. Look, if Ray Vargas wants to say, oh, I don't want to fight you, I'm going to go after Lee Wood and probably unify the titles, that's fine. You can, that's fine. Ray Vargas, he can go ahead and do that. But if I'm Fulton, I would try to target after Brandon Figueroa, go after Mauricio Lara if you want to keep yourself busy. Mark Magsayo, that's a very, very terrific style matchup. Carlos Castro, Raymond Ford, Fulton has a lot better success at 126, but before anybody tries to say, oh, Naoya Inoue would just spark Fulton, once he comes up to 126 and he's gonna beat him, in a rematch. For me, at least, I don't think so because I think a Fulton that is a lot bigger and a lot more athletically stronger, would scale better at the higher weights, because he is a, like, for people that don't know, Stephen Fulton, he started his career, if I'm not mistaken, around 122. But when you look at what he did within his development as a fighter, Fulton, yeah, like Fulton is technically a featherweight, 126 through 130 fighter, because throughout his entirety of his career, he started at 123, and then he's always been like around between 122 and 124. So I mean, 126 is not that far away. Like, it's only 4 pounds, but you can see that Fulton, he's doing fine, at the featherweight, super featherweight limit, because I think Fulton, he's a much bigger guy, and he looks a lot stronger and a lot more athletically gifted. So I think wherever Fulton wants to take within his career, I think it would be best to go up to 126, take a good fight up against a really sturdy opponent that can give you rounds. And I wouldn't mind a guy like Figgy, because Figgy, he'll have more confidence in the fight, thinking, oh, well, if Inoue knocked you out, then that means I can knock you out. But that's simply not true, because it's like Fulton clearly did what he was supposed to do, and he did what he was supposed to do. He was an active fighter at that time, and he had a lot more commitment in beating Figueroa, and he did what he did. So I don't know what Fulton's going to be doing, but I think Fulton, he's in a very, very good position right now, because even though that he lost to Inoue, which Inoue did what he was supposed to do, it's really not the end of the world for him, because if you think about it, if you move up to 26 and you manage to put yourself in world title position, then Inoue will either come see you, or he should just go after other champions, and that would make perfect sense, because he's probably going to end up wanting to face Marlon Tapales. And then if Inoue, if he wants to take a risk to go up to featherweight and fight any of these guys, like a Robeisy Ramirez, which that makes a lot more sense, because Robeisy said that he wants to fight Inoue. So I think what Robeisy is going to do is that Robeisy is going to take advantage. Robeisy is going to take advantage of wanting to fight Inoue. But I don't know what Inoue is going to be wanting to do, because if he, let's just say if he's like wild, if he's crazy enough to say, oh, well, Robeisy Ramirez, he wants to fight me next, then I think what Inoue he'll do is like, hey, if he could ask permission from the WBC and the WBO to move up to 126 and fight, Robeisy Ramirez, and then he could just move back down to 122 after he quote unquote beats him. I mean, that makes sense, but I don't think that's like a smart move. I think you should take advantage of your 122 championship status and just unify for undisputed, and then just do the same thing at 126. So I think that's the right move for Inoue. I don't know what people are saying to say that, oh, Inoue, he beats everybody at the bigger weight classes. He beats Gervonta Davis. He beats O'Shaquie Foster. They always go after the really, really good, Black American talent, but it's just I'm not going that far for Inoue, but I know Inoue is skilled, and he proved it to me. So I'm now a actual big time fan of his now, because he's actually good, and he actually proved it to me, and he actually put in that hard work. Because I did say in the past, you did not fight any Black American fighters. You did not fight any high level talent. You didn't do any of that. But you disproven to me that you are the goods, and you are a you are a very deadly fighter. So that's something that I actually like out of Inoue now, because Inoue has shown to me that it doesn't matter where you're from in boxing, but it matters how much you want it in the sport. And Inoue did that, and I'm actually happy for him. So shout out to Inoue, and shout out to Stephen Fulton. I know both of them will probably see each other very soon, but I think Inoue, he's going to probably end up wanting to fight Marlon Tapales, hopefully in the fall. I think that makes a lot I think honestly, it makes a lot better sense to fight Marlon Tapales heading into the fall. I probably say like October, November time frame, and then if he really wants to, he could go after Robesi Ramirez because that's on top rank, right? Because top rank fighters, they can't cross the street knowing that Inoue just crossed the street with Fulton. So no, let this this political BS is not true. Like fighters can fight. But the thing is that I think Inoue he's gonna go that route. I think he's gonna beat up on Marlon Tapales, get undisputed in 2 divisions, and then he's gonna do the same thing at 126. And then if anything, if he really wants to take a little dab at 130 and 135, go for it because Inoue he's trying he's obviously moving faster now. So I think at 30 years old, heading into maybe hit his cap age to probably hang it up in boxing could be like 34, 35. He has a lot of great years in him, and I think Inoue has a lot of great talent, and I'm definitely all for it. So, yeah, just keep doing what you're doing, Naoya. You definitely have my respect. And Fulton, like it's always Team Fulton every single day. It's Philly, wherever we go, and yeah, I think Fulton he's going to get his titles back real soon, and I think you're gonna see a massive transformation in his skill set. And I think Fulton he'll be right back up on track. I don't know how much sooner he's probably gonna end up resting before he gets back into another fight, but I would probably say my prediction would probably be maybe early, like I would say early winter or maybe late fall. Probably like late November or maybe early December because that makes sense because it's like Fulton he's going to recover for at least a month or two, and then if he really wants to he could just get back into the ring and fight somebody good, and just work your way back up because I don't think Al Heyman's just gonna be like, yo, I'm not gonna cut you, man. Like you have like a lot of skill, you're heavily gifted, and I think Fulton's transformation is going to be insane. I think Fulton is going to show you something that you haven't seen from him as he gets into his next chapter of his career, and I think that's going to be a really really good telling story if he really wants to become a world champion again, and I think he will because I don't think any other fighter will ever do what Inoue did to him. And for people that say Inoue just thrashes him in a rematch and he's just automatically better than him, no, that's not true. Because it's like styles make fights, and not every style is of the same style that you fought. So I mean, either way, I think Inoue he's a monster. He is Godzilla. 1.0. I wanna put him at the 3.0 or 4.0, but he's definitely the breeding stages of a of a Godzilla, kaiju king, if you will. But yeah, Inoue did a good job. Like I'm happy for him. I just wasn't really happy about the fact that that the whole cheating thing definitely got exposed, and I thought he was just naturally good because his power is there, and he is good with his power naturally. So I don't know why you would want to be putting yourself under the microscope of being a potential cheater. But yeah, he listened to Fulton's demands. Fulton just wanted fairness, and he did everything properly. So I mean, I'm gonna credit him, and hopefully he continues to do that, because it's not fair that some fighters that do cheat actually get praised for it, and that's not right for the sport. So I respect Inoue. I respect the Japanese fighters, of his caliber, because for all you weird, racist Japanese fans, you guys are like mentally retarded. But I think for most of you guys are probably just a bunch of young, mentally retarded children that have never seen, the world, as it is. And the thing is that you will never say, the crude stuff that you say online in person, because, in person, it's a whole different energy that you can't back up, because you don't have that demonoid mindset to actually wanting to do violence on another individual, to be discriminatory, and racist to individuals that have never done wrong to you. So, I mean, the thing is that I don't play that BS. If somebody has a problem with me, we're either gonna settle it like men, or I will settle it with violence because I don't use violence just out of pure lust and pure anger. I use my violence for self-defense, and if anybody has a problem with me, then I will bring my self-defense of violence to the individuals that deserve it. But most people don't pick any problems with me because I keep everything impartial, and I just do what I'm supposed to do. I just do what I do in public, and I be responsible as I can. So, yeah, case in point, that's pretty much it, man. Respect to Inoue and Fulton. I hope that they can get a rematch somewhere soon down the line. I think Fulton, he will become a champion. I think Inoue will become a champion again. And don't be surprised if Inoue does come out of his way to become, you know, a multiple time undisputed champion. I'm not gonna go super duper far to say that he starts wiping out guys like O'Shaquie Foster, Gervonta Davis, or Shakur Stevenson. I mean, if Inoue wants those fights, I'm all for it. Go for it. If you think that you could wipe these dudes out, go for it. But I think Inoue knows his limitations, and he understands that he is not at that level that people try to make him out to be. So, I mean, Inoue is good. The hype is real, and I think his skills are only getting better because I think he's gonna start leveling up his competition with world title opposition, and I think he's gonna be fine, man. So, shout out to Fulton and shout out to Naoya Inoue. Legendary fight. This is definitely a pound for pound status type of fight, and for people trying to tell me, Inoue is pound for pound number one and all this crazy nonsense. No, I would say based on his skill, he's definitely a top four or a top five pound for pound fighter. But I would say for me at least, for my pound for pound, I would have at number one definitely Errol Spence, two Devin Haney, three Jermell Charlo, and then four I would definitely put Jerome Boots Ennis. And then I say 5 Inoue. And then 6 I would probably definitely put 6 I would put 6 I would put Fulton. And then 7, 8 7 and 8 I probably put down Artur Beterbiev and Dmitry Bivol. And then for 9 and 10 9 and 10 is a little bit tricky, but I probably say for number 9, man, that's like a little bit tough, but man, I don't even know because there's so much talent, but I probably say maybe number 9. I could put O'Shaquie Foster, and then 10, I'll put down, I'll probably put down Jermall Charlo. Yeah, I'll put him down because he's a good fighter, and he's definitely put himself in the rafters. But I think if anything, I wouldn't mind putting Andrade at number 10. But knowing that Charlo skills wise, I think him scaling against all the world's best competition, I think Charlo is definitely like a top plus 30 and above type fighter to be better than most people. But I think time will tell to see where Jermall Charlo's career will go. And at least for me, I don't do pound for pound based off of like the BS resume, popularity, talent to say who beat who. No, like pound for pound is based off of skill, and that's how pound for pound should always be. That's really what pound for pound is about. It was basically designed based off of Sugar Ray Robinson's skill set, and that's really what it's technically supposed to be. But I'm not gonna get into that. But shout out to Naoya Inoue and Fulton. Definitely like to see them back in the ring soon. And yeah, that's about it. I will see you guys later. Peace out and goodbye.